Hey, yes, we want to welcome our great leader from United States of America, Honorable Dr. Corey Hicks, Ph.D. He's going to share with us uncovering the authentic leader in you. Dr. Corey, motivational speaker and author, a 20-plus year pharmaceutical professor, a former 3-time NCAA. I'm sure any of us from America or acquainted to America, we know what NCAA means in sport, All American Decathlete. But then I want to say more about our great leader. Dr. Corey Hicks is a speaker, author, and a 20-year pharmaceutical professional. As a former All-American decade athlete turned biotech regional medical director with over 23 years as a successful healthcare advocate and motivational speaker. May I encourage you to tune in, join Dr. Hicks every time to listen to his motivational speaking on Facebook. You will never be the same again. Okay, let me continue. Dr. Hicks has inspired thousands nationally and internationally. Dr. Hicks' topic range from health and wellness, leadership, stress management, emotional intelligence, and self-empowerment, which we all need, especially at this time of change that we are facing right all over the world. Dr. Corey Hicks is a former 3-time NCAA All-American decathlete in track and field, a former 1996 Olympic hopeful, a 2009 KSU Hall of Fame inductive, a 2-time author, 2019 Bragg Magazine Influencer of the Season, and 2020 Global Motivational Award recipient. Let's move on to the next one. Dr. Corey Hicks holds a BS in education from Kentucky State University and MS in health science from Concordia University, Irvine, California, and PhD in health and human performance from Concordia University, Chicago, River Forest. Dr. Hicks has published works in health literature with a specific focus on health disparities and exercise as a treatment for mental and physical disease. He is a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity, INC, and served as the first vice for the Real Sigma chapter in Miami. Dr. Hicks is the founder and CEO of the 3 V's LLC. Dr. Hicks is the author of Values, Visions, and Versatility, and Vision of Inspiration. The 3 V's. Wow, now I understand what 3 V's is all about. Values, visions, and versatility, and vision. So 3 V's has played a significant role in the guidance and transformation of what he was to become and who is today. Is the living example of the phrase, all things are possible. Yes, and that is the reason why we have Dr. Corey Hicks on our platform this morning to share with us, train us, enlighten us, wake us up, inspire us, motivate us. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you for just the opportunity to come before you to even share on this platform. So thank you. I'm just ecstatic just about the opportunity. So I want to at this time, let me share, see if I can bring up. Okay, just 1 second. Let me share my slideshow. Okay, can you see it? Okay, are you able to view, Dr. Lucas, are you able to view my screen? Can you see it?
Yes,
Oh,
Prof. Okay.
Yes,
okay, you can,
Prof. You can
okay,
see
thank
it.
you. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So this morning, I want to talk about uncovering the authentic leader in you. And we'll kind of talk a little bit about, since now this is live, so we don't necessarily normally, we have group presentations, but we're just going to go over leadership overview. Then, we'll kind of, we'll go through the workshop presentation. We'll bypass, since it's live, we won't do group exercises, but with this, a lot of it will just be specifically just on a leadership overview. So for sake of time, again, we won't go through the group exercises. But again, the objectives for this morning is to talk about what is leadership, discuss the key leadership theories. We want to identify the traits and skills of an effective leader. Talk about understanding the impact of EQ as a leader, and EQ is emotional intelligence. And then lastly, we'll just kind of speak to the SWOT analysis to uncover the authentic leader in you. And so here again, I just want you to be fully present, stretch out of your comfort zone, step up and step back, find your own voice, observe confidentiality, and bring heart, not just mind, specifically to today's lesson. So this is something that I like by Marianne Williamson. I think it's important to kind of start off, and it talks about our deepest fear. It says our deepest fear is not that we are not inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frighten us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, to be gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Just very powerful in terms of just setting the tone specifically for today's presentation. So in defining authentic leadership, if we look at it, if we break it down, we ask the question, what is authentic leadership? And so authentic leadership has been defined as a pattern of leader behavior that draws upon and promotes both positive psychological capacities and a positive ethical climate to foster greater self-awareness and internalize morale, perspective, balanced processes of information, and relational transparency on the part of leaders working with followers, fostering positive self-development. Man, that's powerful. If you actually look in terms of how do we define authentic leadership? So, there are some questions specifically that we may ask about leadership. And the questions are, what is leadership from your perspective point? Prior to me defining authentic leadership, but then the question is, what is leadership? Why is leadership important? Then just take a moment and just think to yourself and say, why is leadership important? Why do we need leaders? Just if you just imagine, why do we need leaders? Can you imagine life without leaders? Without someone stepping up to be in position to be this authentic leader, to be this person who inspires, who motivates, who encourages, who, take, the stress of certain situations and predicaments to put it on their shoulders and say, I'm going to step up and I'll take the lead. Just imagine life without leaders. But then you ask the question, why do we need leaders? And are leaders born or are they bred? Are people born leaders, or are they cultivated in life to be leaders by the things that they do, their experiences in life? So those are some of the questions that I just want you to take a moment just to answer yourself. As we think about that, you think about the conceptions of leadership, the conceptions of leadership. So there are many. Some look at leadership as exercising power. Then you look at it too. Why do you go into leadership? Is it gaining and exercising the privilege of a high status? Then there are some that enjoy being the boss, or task orientation, or is it just taking care of people, or empowerment? Sometimes we look at leadership in terms of empowerment, or providing moral leadership. These are conceptions of leadership, or providing and working toward a vision. So all of these are conceptions of leadership that we may look at, but then we look at the methods of leadership. And these are the methods, good, bad, or indifferent, that some of us who are in leadership or who aspire to go into leadership, these are some of the reasons why people, or the methodologies that they use to lead. Pure exercising of power, or some, utilize leadership for political scheming. Remember, I said good, bad, or indifferent. Or using leadership, the methods for using relationships. This is how they lead. Or setting an example. Or it could be persuasion. This is a method of leadership that individuals use. Or it could be sharing of power. Or charisma. Some people lead, have leadership by charisma, or involving followers in a goal. And lastly, various combinations of these other methods. So there are many methods that people utilize as a way to lead, as a way to, that they serve in a leadership role. So this is something that I just want you to ask. Now, we don't necessarily have a group presentation here, but just want you to think for a second, and we can utilize this to just think about ways, examples that you have come across with strong and weak leadership. So just think for a moment, you've experienced several ways that you have had an opportunity to experience leadership. You have strong leadership and you have weak leadership. But just for a moment, take a second just to think about the various ways you've come across both strong and weak leadership. Then I want you to, you can use examples from employment, academic studies, or participation in sports club and societies. Just think about that for a moment. So again, these are various forms that you have experienced or come across leadership styles. So, that's something that you can probably just jot down and keep to yourself as a way of saying, this is exemplary leadership, and this is leadership that is unacceptable, but I want to utilize it to build from, to know what to do and what not to do. So as we look in terms of key leadership theories, just kind of going down, leadership theories are based around task, team, and individual. So as we look in terms of functional theories, these functional theories, there's leaders is concerned with the interactions of three areas, again, task, team, and individual. So if we look at tasks, you have goal setting, methods, and process. So specifically, if you look at the functional theories, if I'm a leader, my focus may just be on tasks. Then you have other leadership styles or theories that are directly associated with teams. So that's an effective interaction, communication, clarity, clarifying roles, and team morale specifically. This is that leaders, the way that they choose to lead. And then you have individuals, meaning attention to behavior, feelings, coaching, which is important too, specifically, because you do have leaders that, again, specifically deal with just strictly behavior, Feelings could be more into the EQ, where we talk about emotional intelligence. And we'll speak to that a little bit further as I begin to get deeper into my presentation. Then you have behaviorist theories specifically. So these are leaders' behavior and actions rather than their traits and skills, production-oriented or people-oriented specifically. Then you have the different leadership behavior categorized as leadership styles. You have autocrat, persuasive, consultative, and democratic. Specifically, all of these are leadership styles that I'll speak to a little bit as we go on. And then the lastly, doesn't provide a guide to effective leadership to different situations. So all of those specifically as it relates to task, team, and individual, as you can see from functional theories to behavior theories, there are a numerous amount of styles that leaders can choose from, good, bad, or indifferent. But the new leadership theory, as we look at, is a transformational theory, which I think is important because, here specifically, it focuses on leaders who inspire individuals. They also develop trust and they encourage creativity and personal growth. This kind of goes along with, as we talk about practicing social consciousness, understanding as a leader, and the new school or transformational leadership is not just do what I say, but do as I do. See, individuals develop a sense of purpose to benefit the group, organization, or society. This goes beyond their own self-interest in exchange of rewards or recognition for effort or loyalty. Here's another quote by Donald O. Clifton, and this is from the Gallup researcher and founder of Strengths and Psychology. It says, a leader needs to know their strengths as a carpenter knows their tools, or a physician knows their instruments at her disposal. What great leaders have in common is that each truly knows their strengths and can call on the right strength at the right time. That's very important. This explains why there is no definitive list of characteristics that describe all leaders specifically. Because as a leader, again, you're going to have different skill sets and different strengths, but you have to know how to utilize them at the right time and the right place with the right individuals. So as we look in terms of traits and skills of an effective leader, let's speak to that. So some ways of looking at leadership styles and their effects on an organization. So if you look at autocratic leaders insist on doing all of it by themselves. They have all of the power, they make all of the decisions, and they don't often tell anyone else about what they're doing. So just think about this for a moment as you have worked for different companies, you've had interactions, whether it be in an academic setting or professional setting. Some of you may know individuals or may have experienced an autocratic leadership style where people insist on, again, doing everything all by themselves. They have all the power, they make all the decisions, and they don't often tell anyone else about what they're doing. Then if we look at a managerial style, this is the leader who sees themselves as a manager and is concerned primarily with the running of the organization. So they don't care about the challenges that may be going on along with individuals personally themselves, but it's more about managing. It's more about primarily with running the organization. Then you have a democratic style of leadership, and that leader looks at his or her other positions in terms of responsibilities rather than status, and they often consult in decision making. So they involve, the workers or the individuals that they're dealing with specifically. They engage them on the decision making. And then you have a collaborative, lastly. A collaborative leader tries to involve everyone in the organization in leadership. They initiate discussions. So it's inclusive, not necessarily inclusive, but they engage everyone. So they're not taking anyone out of the picture, but they're bringing everyone in. They pinpoint the problem and they keep track of the organization as a whole. So again, there's a lot of engagement. There's a lot of not necessarily working in silos, but working collectively together for a common goal to, gain the support and the input from everyone. So as you can see, there are many autocratic, managerial, democratic, and collaborative. And then if you look at this as a leader currently yourself, or as a leader which you aspire to be, if you could look at it, which one do you define as your leadership style, or what leadership style would you aspire to be? So as we look at the traits and skill of effective leader, I think this is important. Let's just talk about that. So the first thing is communication, which is key. Good communication skills are required at every level of business, but leaders must possess outstanding communication skills. Luckily, this is a skill that can be learned. So this is a learned behavior, but you have to, as a leader, be able, because there's a saying said that leaders cast a vision and managers facilitate the logistics. But in order to cast a vision, there must be first communication. Secondly, motivating teams. So inspiring others is the mark of an effective leader. Motivation is the best done by example and guidance, not by issuing commands. So it's do as I do and not do what I say. Team building. Putting together strong teams that work well is another trait of a great leader. The opposite is also true. It is a team. If a team is weak and dysfunctional, it's generally a failure in leadership. So again, team building is important. This is a way of practicing social consciousness, awareness, what's going on with your team, and knowing when to push and knowing when to inspire and motivate. Risk-taking. You can learn how to assess risk and run scenarios that will help you to make better decisions. Great leaders take the right risks at the right time. So there is calculated risk-taking. So you're not just doing it without being strategic, but there's calculated risk-taking. And then lastly, vision and goal setting. So a team depends on its leader to tell them where they are going, why they are going, and how they're going to get there. People are more motivated when a leader articulates his or her vision for a project or for the organization, along with the steps and the goals needed to achieve it. You have to walk hand, sometimes you got to hold individuals' hand to let them know specifically if this is something that they're not accustomed to, if it's something new. And so we're going to walk you down. I'm going to hold your hand. I'm not going to leave you. And again, this is why we say leaders cast vision and managers facilitate the logistics. So let's speak firstly about self-awareness. I think this is very important. If we talk about self-awareness, it refers to the extent leaders appear to understand their strengths, their motives and weaknesses, and how others view their leadership. As a leader, you certainly have to be self-aware of what's taking place. That's the only way you can get better. Sometimes we may feel as though everything is going well, or that the people that we are leading, that everyone is happy. But that's why it's great to always reach out, to ask questions. How are you doing? How is everything going? And then occasionally do a 360 review. 360 review may be, you may send it out to 5 people, and it may ask certain questions about your leadership style, how you're doing, what's working well, what's not working well. These are ways, this is kind of like a check and balance, because we have to be self-aware of the situation of what's taking place as a leader in order to know if we're on the right track. If we look at leadership style, as a leader, again, it's our job to mold, to shape, the individuals that we are responsible for. We have to be able to mold them, to nurture them, to encourage them, to inspire them. Then you look at specifically as a leader, are leaders born or are they bred? Do we make leaders? Do we build leaders? Talent times knowledge plus skill equals strength. But a lot of that is in the experiences as a leader that we go through that specifically shapes and mold us into the individuals that we aspire to be. Then you look at too, there was Bill George, I had an opportunity to go through an executive leadership program. And this executive leadership program, I learned a lot, but Bill George was the mentor to Oprah Winfrey, and he was a former CEO of Medtronics. This was a pharmaceutical company. And he talked about the best leaders he have ever come across, and in their program, what they look for in an effective leader. And he said he would rather have a leader with high EQ than IQ. As you can see, IQ shows balanced performance and decision making, and that's great. But sometimes having high IQ, you overlook what's most important. From the top surface, that's how, individuals with high IQ, they look at things from top surface. But individuals with great EQ, they peel back the onion and they look at things that are much deeper. From a top surface, you look at an iceberg and we take it for what it's worth. But then as we actually look at the strength and the foundation of an iceberg, it's actually not what's on top of the iceberg, actually what's on top of the water, but it's actually what's underneath the water. What's underneath the water shows the root and the foundation and the mass and how powerful an iceberg is. And that's, if we look at the EQ, it's self-awareness, it's motivation, self-management, social skills, and empathy. So you can see the deeper you go, the stronger the iceberg is underneath the water. And because of that, that's how you grow. That's how you move from being an outcast to participating, to following along and being a part of a group, being a part of a team dynamics. Well-rounded team versus one great man. Possibilities for equity. Then if we look at specifically here, it's all about utilizing the right resources. Here it is, the right strength for the job: strategy, influence, execute, relationships. As a leader, you have to know, again, how to use the right tools for the right positions. So now let's talk about understanding the impact of emotional intelligence. I think this is very important. We spoke about IQ and the importance of EQ as an effective leader. So here it is. Emotional intelligence refers to the capacity for recognizing our own feelings and those of others, for motivating ourselves, and for managing emotions well in ourselves, in our relationships, which is most important. EQ, doing a self-assessment, having an understanding, self-awareness, all of that specifically speaks to the emotional and understanding our emotional intelligence. I think this is great here with me, being in pharmaceuticals and have been in neurology many years, 17, 18 years. It's important to understand the path between feeling and reason. So as you can see here, we have the frontal lobe where the rational process happens specifically in our brains, the frontal lobe. Then you have the limbic system where emotions are experienced. You have the sense signals that goes down a spinal cord, and these two areas are, they are for communicating. So our brains, if you look at it, are hardwired to make us emotional creatures. Our feelings are strong motivators of our behavior. Everything that we sense travels, as you can see with the sense signals, travels through our bodies up the spinal cord to the brain in the form of electric signals. These signals first pass through the brain's limbic system, as you can see listed here. And this is a place where emotions are produced in the brain. Then they travel from the frontal lobe behind our forehead, and they place, this is a place where rational thinking, logic thinking takes place. And then this journey then signal follows to ensure we experience things emotionally before reason and rationality kick in. And the limbic and the frontal areas do communicate, and this is the source of what we look at it as EQ, or what we call EQ. So if we think about emotional intelligence, the ability to sense, to understand, and effectively apply the power of acumen of emotions as a source of human energy, information, connection, and influence. All of these things specifically, they speak to what emotional intelligence is. Again, me growing up, the biggest focus was always on IQ. IQ, you have to have a high IQ. But if we peel back the onion, it's not just IQ, but it's emotional intelligence. This is a connection that we have with our human beings. So when we speak to EQ, what is EQ? What are some of the traits or characteristics of EQ that we need to point out? First of all, people with high EQ know who they are, okay? They just know who they are. They are confident with themselves. They know what they need to do to take care of themselves. This isn't something that someone has to tell them. They automatically understand the assignment to what they need to do to take care of themselves. People with high EQ also, they know who others are within their own context. That's important. They understand the room. They understand the individuals that are around them. They understand the key players. That's very important for EQ. And also they understand how they need to manage their impact on others, which I think is significant and is very important. These are the key character traits of individuals with high EQ. This is the things that they are great at. So then if we look at what is not EQ, what are some of the things? Number one, letting your feelings run rampant. So people with high EQ, they take control of their emotions, but individuals that do not practice good EQ, they let their feelings run rampant, being nice, regardless of what happens to you. This is what EQ is not. Is not specific to gender or genetically fixed. IQ, knowledge or education base, EQ is not, or it's not about anger management at all. It's about being in control emotionally at all times and being in tune with yourself. EQ application to leadership. I think this is very important. So if we look at it, there are 4 characteristics: managing yourself, managing your team, managing the work, and managing collaboratively. So in managing yourself, that means that there's empathy. Empathy, so you have sympathy. Sympathy is going through a situation, but empathy is, I've never been there, but I can understand, I have an understanding for what you're going through. Then there's self-control. Again, regulating your emotions, not letting your emotions get out of control. Then there's self-confidence. There's an air about yourself that you're confident. You exude this executive presence. Managing your team as a leader. So there's developing others. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So as a leader, one of your key focuses should be developing others, not necessarily just I'm getting people to work for me, but what are some of the things that you aspire to do? And how can I help you get there? What are some of the skill sets that you are lacking from me assessing you that I need to help develop you in these areas that you are deficient in? Holding people accountable. Again, if you tell me that you're going to do something as a leader, if I'm managing my team, I have to learn how to hold people accountable. And then that's the team leadership. I have to lead by example. If we look at managing the work results orientation. So that means that you have to be productive. Then initiative, not waiting for things to happen, but being proactive. So you have an initiative and you show initiative for wanting to get things done. And then problem solving, that's all about being results oriented, specifically because if there's an issue, I'm identifying the issue, and these are the solutions or the steps that I plan to take as a leader to effectively take care of the problem that we're currently facing. And then managing collaboratively, that means that you influence others. And then sometimes as a leader, you have to be willing to, or able to influence without authority. specifically as a leader that's coming up, you probably don't have direct responsibility over someone, but because of your influence, because you are able to be influential in what you're doing, you can influence without authority, which is very important. And then fostering teamwork. You have to have people working collectively together for one common goal. And that means that you're not working in silos. You're not participating in triangulation, specifically he say, she say things, but you are fostering teamwork. So everyone is working collectively together for one common goal. And so here again, we're not meeting directly in person, but I just want you to take a moment to conduct a self-SWOT analysis. And the SWOT analysis stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So as you look at what are your strengths, what are the things that from the presentation that I've had the opportunity to share thus far, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are some of the things that you need to, I can be better at? What are the opportunities? These are the opportunities for me to grow. Maybe, I need to work a little bit more, gain a greater understanding of EQ, of just, maybe, in terms of me working with individuals or having empathy, I'm lacking empathy, whatever it is, you can look at these are opportunities to grow. And then what are the threats? What are some of the things that if this is not done, that could prevent you from becoming the best you? So that would be the threat. And then again, you can spend, 5 minutes just jotting these things down, putting them aside, and finding a push partner, someone to hold you accountable. Okay, hey, this is my SWOT analysis. This is what I've done for myself. And then maybe you want to select a mentor, someone that you've been working with, that they can do a SWOT analysis on you too. So here it is. This is my observation of what I see my SWOT analysis as. And then this is my mentor, someone who knows me very well, and they may, and they are able to give me an accurate assessment of currently where I am. And then you go from your assessment to your mentor's assessment, and then you find a happy medium. And then now you put together a game plan of how I'm going to get better. These are some of the things that I'm going to do to improve. So I want to share with you, I think is important too. These are key findings from 50 years of Gallup research. And it says, all too often leaders are blind to the obvious when it comes to something of critical importance to them, their own personality. And these were the top 3 things that most effective leaders do. And a little bit more research. This was done in more than 1 million work teams conducted with more than 20,000 in-depth interviews with leaders, and even interviewed more than 10,000 followers around the world to ask exactly why they followed the most important leaders in their life. And this is the information that came from it. It says most effective leaders are always investing in their strengths. That's one of the things, you have to invest in your strengths. Number 2, most effective leaders surround themselves with the right people, then maximize their team. So they're, again, surround themselves with the right people, then maximize their team. So they put the right individuals around them in order to build their team. And good leaders put great individuals around them. Notice I didn't say great leaders. I said good leaders, because you have to find the subject matter experts in order to put in key positions, and leaders have the confidence to do that. Sometimes as an effective leader, you don't necessarily want to bring someone in, or they are fearful to bring people in that they feel that may know more than them in certain areas. But good leaders surround themselves with great individuals. And then lastly, understanding their followers' needs. As a leader, the only way that you can help or develop others is that you have to know the needs of those individuals that are following you. And in conclusion, I just want to leave you with this. This is by Merle. That says, those who are great souls have aim of giving all souls a donation of happiness through their every interaction. This is through their activity. They give happiness and receive happiness. Charity is to give souls something through which blessings emerge from them. This is called an act of charity. Whomever you give happiness to, blessings will emerge from them for you. So as a leader, we have an obligation and a responsibility to pour into each other, to pour into individuals, to pour into the people that we're leading, to inspire them, to encourage them, to motivate them, to deposit. Again, I love the last line: whomever you give happiness to, blessings will emerge from them from you. So in conclusion, this ends my part of the presentation. Again, I encourage you, I challenge you to uncover the authentic leader in you. What is your leadership style? Who are you? Learn to use the unacceptable as motivation. There are many leadership styles, as you can see, that I've had an opportunity to discuss during my presentation, but where are you currently now, and what do you aspire to be? So again, I would like to thank our Honorable Dr. Lucas for inviting me here. This is amazing, just this platform and presentation. And I'm going to turn it back over into the hands of our Professor Lucas. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Corey Hicks from USA. I really appreciate your time and sharing with us today. But before we go further, because I know you might decide to stay longer, or you might decide to move on. One question I just want to ask before we move on. Can you throw a light into what is the difference between inspirational leader and transformational leader?
If I would have to say, as an inspirational leader, again, we inspire through our actions. We inspire by the things that you do, so it's not necessarily do as I do, but do as I say. Or do as I do. I'm going to lead by example. So of an inspirational leader, when you see my actions and the deeds, my deed and word, you are inspired through the things that I do. As a transformational leader, as we spoke about, this is a mind shift, specifically moving from point A to point B. So as a transformational leader too, it's a journey, and we're moving people along, specifically this journey too. We're teaching them how to develop, so as an inspirational leader, it may be more of me not saying the things, not saying a lot, but you are inspired through my actions. But as a transformational leader, I'm taking your hand and I'm walking you down this journey of life. I'm seeing currently where you are at, and I'm helping you through every step of the way, transform you into the best possible you that you can possibly be. So.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. One more question.
Yes.
What are the benefits of being a transformational leader? Or second questions with it, what are the benefits for those people that want to learn from transformational leader?
Well, there are a lot of benefits, from a transformational leader. Again, this is kind of like the new leadership style that we look at. These are people who practice EQ, emotional intelligence, understanding, practicing both empathy and sympathy, helping people along their journey. These are the individuals that are going to be patient with you. Again, that understand your process, that are willing to take you currently where you are at. As a transformational leader, we have to be willing to, because sometimes, the older leadership styles, there is a box drawn around people, and everyone that's not in that box specifically, then we don't necessarily see them as a leader. But as an EQ, there are different leadership styles. As you can see, we talked about autocratic, democratic. We spoke about all type of, leadership styles, but as a transformational leader, this person is helping you currently where you are at. Now, remember, everyone is not going to have the same leadership styles, because a leadership style is based upon your strengths, based upon your weaknesses, who you are, whether you're an introvert, whether you are an extrovert, but everyone has their role specifically as a leader, as a transformational leader, my job is to help develop you into the best possible you, not to make you into something that you're currently not, but to develop you and based upon your skill sets and the best individual that you can be that's going to be productive for individuals that you lead. So
thank you so much, sir. I said that was the last questions, but I have to, because I'm asking questions on behalf of YYC leaders and also the ambassadors. Some of them asked me some questions, and that is why this is the opportunity for me to ask you those questions.
Yes.
Now, the last one, I know at the beginning of your presentation, you shared with us the different kinds of leadership or the leadership style. Now, the last question, I promise this will be the last question. Now, the question is it possible to combine 2 or 3 styles of leadership together? Let's say we have the autocratic, and then we have the transformational, we have the inspirational, we have others. So is it possible to balance maybe 2 or 3 together and then to have an effective leader?
Yeah, if you recall in the presentation, I kind of spoke about that. And then the last one, I said it may be a combination of that. So you definitely, and again, your leadership style is based upon your environment, the people that you're currently working with. So it may take a little of everything. Specifically, all leadership styles are not the same. They're not exact. My leadership style is going to be completely different, but it's based upon the individuals that you serve, the individuals that you're currently working with. I think the biggest mistake that we can do is embrace one specific. That's just like, I'll give this example. If there's a football game or there's a sports tournament, and so you have a game plan going into that sports tournament, and the game plan is not working. Okay, as an effective coach, my job is to assess the situation, okay, and make adjustments. Sometimes in leadership, we can be stuck in one particular style, knowing that the group of individuals that you're working with, this is not working with them. So then that's when you have to practice mental agility. You have to practice emotional intelligence to make adjustments. So as a leader, yes, there may be different variations of certain styles specifically for that environment, for that workplace, or that situation that require you to be a little bit of all.
Great,
or a little bit of 3. So
thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you so much for explaining to me better, because if we don't ask questions, we don't understand. And we also ask questions to clarify what we've learned, so that the better the understanding, the better we can apply it into our lives, into our daily lives, and also into our future. So I want to seize this opportunity on behalf of Yes You Can International, patrons, matrons, leaders. We want to say thank you so much for joining us and sharing your valuable wisdom with us this morning. Thank you, sir.
I just want to share this only, just to keep things as an effective leader, we want to make sure it's most important, again, that you develop people, that you develop individuals, you meet individuals where they're at. You don't, as a leader, you don't necessarily want to just be an authoritarian, someone is always, just pushing. But as an authoritative leader, you learn specifically too that, you can give praise, you can get encouragement, but yet and still you hold people accountable. So again, we learn to use the unacceptable as motivation. There's good leadership and there's bad leadership. And, and it's important to experience both sides. Even in the things that I've done, I experienced both sides, but it made me into the person that I am. And the more we study, the more we do research, we can begin to identify these are good traits of a leader. These are traits that I think that may not be beneficial in this specific area, but we learn to make adjustments to do the things that work best for you, as well as the people that you're developing. So thank you so much. It's indeed a pleasure. I greatly appreciate the platform. And as always, you can always reach out And I'm always willing to be a part of what you're doing because there's always something great. So thank you.
I really understand, and I really love the last statement you made, that it is easy. I mean, it is so important that we adjust ourselves, because I believe that as transformational leader, we learn every day. Transforming is about transforming your life every day. We cannot stop transforming. We cannot stop upgrading our knowledge, and we cannot stop growing our mindset. So it is very important that as a leader, everybody is a leader, but what makes somebody different is the way they've developing, the way they are developing themselves. We need to keep learning as a leader, as well as any other person that is under our leadership. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And that makes me to also say that every leader must be adaptable, approachable, and flexible, because you don't know of tomorrow. Anything can happen at any time, and anybody can approach us in this world. So thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Thank you for your valuable knowledge. So let's face.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate this platform is awesome. I mean, I love it when you talk about transformational leaders, because again, the more I went through, and I'll share this, I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I went through a leadership discovery program, and it was through Harvard, and my company sent me there, and I learned so much. And it was every month I had a different CEO and executive that came forth, and they talked about everything. And as a leader, we should look at developing ourselves with the end in mind. Meaning whatever it is that you aspire to be, you don't wait until that opportunity happens. You begin to do those things now. So to your point, as a transformational leader, or as someone who is aspiring to be a leader, these are the skill sets that you begin to work on and you begin to do. So when these opportunities present themselves and an opportunity or a job comes available, people, when they say your name, they already see you as one that's already, oh, I already see that, but they've already been doing that. I thought they was already in that role. This is just things that people say. And that's how you exude an executive presence. You prepare everything with the end in mind. We begin to perform and work in the things that we aspire to do. There are 5-year goals and 10-year goals. Believe it or not, when you begin to prepare prepare with the end in mind, sometimes your 10-year goals may come before your 5-year goals, but we just have to be equipped and ready to do it. And as a transformational leader, again, we're always developing. It's not, okay, hey, I'm here now, I'm satisfied. You're always developing yourself, through some shape, form, or fashion to become the best you. So.
Hey, thank you so much. That's really great one. Kanemiako, before you leave, I would love you to wait for, I know it's so early in the morning, but one of the things that we encourage our leaders, our speakers and trainers to do is to hang around to listen to others. So I will be inviting another speaker to lead us, to speak to us. I would appreciate it, even if it is just few minutes that you can spend to listen and learn also, because nobody knows it all. We are leaders and we need to be learning from others as well. So as we listen to them, they also listen to us. And that is what YYCI ethos is all about. That you don't go to the conference or masterclass and just deliver your message, and then you say, that is it, I'm leaving. No, you need to learn from others, because togetherness, we learn together, we share together, and we grow together. So please, even if it is just few minutes, we would like you to. Another thing I also would like to say quickly before you go. You delivered your message today at around 10:15 or something like that. But I can assure you that I will be knocking your door when our viewers write their questions. Some of them go back to the video, they watch it, and then they ask questions. So I'll be chasing you up for their answers.
That sounds great.
So that can be, so even though you've delivered today, my audience, they might ask questions tomorrow or
Okay.
next week, but I will definitely send it to you so that you can answer the questions, and I will send it back to them. Because we know that some people cannot join now, but they will join later and they will have questions to answer. So thank you so much.
No, you're welcome.
Okay, now